It's no secret that Alex Bregman has been a good addition to the Boston Red Sox this year. But just how good has he actually been? More on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's free. So you might as well continue to tune in because Locked On is your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the show where the Red Sox currently sit at 16-14, second in the American League East, a game and a half behind the first place Yankees. And if you look back at the beginning of the season, for all the injuries that they've faced so far and the really bad start to the season that they had with the offense not producing and guys not really giving everything that they have, they're really not in a bad spot right now. And that's actually a really exciting thing to think about because if they're at 16-14 right now, imagine where they can be when everything is clicking. And I'm hoping that the everything clicking comes with guys coming back from injury. One of those players being Connor Wong, who is going to be rehabbing today with the Worcester Red Sox. I will be there, so I'll give you updates on how he looks in that game. And you may, just may, hear from Connor Wong also, so you will not want to miss tomorrow's episode where I do give those updates. But when you think about the returning players, we also have to think about the newbies who came onto this roster as fresh faces this season. And on today's show, I'm going to be going over and checking in on the biggest Red Sox offseason additions. To me, the biggest Red Sox offseason additions include Alex Bregman, Garrett Crochet, and Walker Buehler. You could definitely throw Aroldis Chapman into that category in terms of what he's doing for this Red Sox team because he has been super solid out of the Red Sox pen, primarily in the closing role. But if we're talking biggest names who have made an impact with this Red Sox team, it's those three, Bregman, Crochet, and Buehler. So I'm going to be going over those three and looking back at what they've done for the Red Sox so far this year. And when people think of Alex Bregman, they think about this lifelong Astro who was constantly winning and was a guy who just knew what it took to go all the way. And during the offseason, it was pretty apparent that the Red Sox needed to add a right-handed hitter to their lineup. And sure enough, they pursued Alex Bregman. He decided he wanted to come to Boston, and he was really impressed with the development in the Red Sox system and the future that they had. Not only the fact that it would give him a chance to win now, but he really liked what they had going for them in the longer term. So he decided on the Red Sox. And I am certainly happy that he did because overall, so far, he's been solid for the Red Sox this year. Defensively, he had some blunders early on in the season. He was making errors at a more rapid pace than I think anybody expected or is used to from him. And that was something that was a little bit frustrating because he is the reigning Gold Glover at third. So you expect and want him to perform like a reigning Gold Glover. And early on in the season, he wasn't exactly doing that, but the errors have diminished significantly, not only just for him, but also for the Red Sox infield as a whole. They just have not made as many of those blunders as they did early on, which is super promising. And I'm very happy to see that. And Bregman certainly is one of those players who has cleaned up his defensive miscues. But offensively, he really has made a mark so far with this Red Sox team. We knew going into the season that he could rake at Fenway. His career numbers there are just exceptional, but we really needed to see him in action before we drew conclusions on what type of hitter he was going to be for this Red Sox team this year. Now, in terms of his numbers, he currently sits at a .319 batting average, a .394 on base percentage, and a .543 slugging with a .937 OPS. He's had 116 at-bats with 132 plate appearances total. He scored 19 runs and recorded 37 hits, with 5 of those being home runs. He also has 1 stolen base, but his speed is not something that he's known for. He's only in the 29th percentile for sprint speed. And when I say percentile, just for the rest of today's show moving forward, I mean where he ranks relative to other players. So based on his performance levels of where he's at, if you're in the 90s, that means you're great in that area. If you're in the 20s, like for example with Alex Bregman with the sprint speed, that means it's poor. His running speed is poor. We've always known this about him. He is not one who's going to be able to steal a ton of bases. He does not travel down that baseline very fast, but that's okay, because he is contributing majorly in other ways to this Red Sox offense. Now, I'm going to note 3 specific categories in which Alex Bregman is really killing it in right now. One of those is squared up percentage. He is in the 96th percentile for that, which is considered great. So what is squared up rate exactly? So essentially what it means is it's the percentage of swings that are squared up. And squared up means the ball hit the bat's sweet spot. That is determined by comparing exit velocity with bat speed and pitch speed. So essentially the percentage of swings that are blasted. So it is one of the measures of determining a player's power, and if the ball lands in that sweet spot of the bat, it means it's going to travel very far. So he's in the 96th percentile for that, which means that the ball is hitting the sweet spot a lot of the time, which means that his batting stance is very good. And when he swings, he's able to have the bat touch the ball in a spot that's going to have it travel very far. So that's a technique thing in his swing, and that's something that Alex Bregman has nailed to a T. Another number to be aware of is his chase percentage. He's very high in that category. He's in the 98th percentile of chase percentage. What exactly is chase rate? Chase rate is the percentage of out of zone pitches that a guy swings at. So he's not chasing pitches out of the zone a lot. The 98th percentile, that means that he is rarely swinging at anything outside the zone. That's what veteran hitters do. That is what makes guys super successful hitters. They're very good at laying off pitches. And we've seen that from him. We've seen that from Rafael Devers, guys who have been around the game for a while and are among the best hitters in the sport. They won't swing at as many pitches outside the zone unless they get completely fooled and they were maybe looking for something else. But Alex Bregman has great discipline when it comes to holding back and not chasing those pitches. Also, whiff percentage is high for him. He's in the 94th percentile for whiff percentage, which is the overall percentage of swings that are misses. He does not swing and miss at a very high rate compared to other hitters in the sport. He just doesn't. And that's very promising considering the fact that this Red Sox team overall as a whole strikes out a lot. So he is very high in the numbers when it comes to hitters and how often they swing and miss. He just doesn't do that a lot. So he is going to make a lot of contact. And as a result of his whiff percentage being very high and his chase percentage being very high, that results in him not striking out as much as some other hitters would. He's in the 70th percentile for that, so not as high as those other 3 categories that I discussed. But because this is all a reflection of him having really good plate discipline and pitch recognition, he's not going to strike out at as high of a rate as you might see from some other players. His average exit velocity is in the 85th percentile. That's another number of his that is very good. So exit velocity, also known as exit velo, refers to the speed at which the ball leaves the bat after contact. Basically, it's measuring how hard a hitter is capable of hitting the ball, which provides valuable insight into their ability to hit for power and do damage. So the faster that the ball travels when it leaves the bat, naturally that means the more likely it is that it could be hit out of the ballpark. So he's high in that category too. He's in the 85th percentile there. So naturally, what does all of this mean? Naturally, this means that Bregman has really good plate discipline and pitch recognition. And when he's making contact, he's making very hard contact, resulting in impactful at-bats, hitting singles, hitting doubles off the wall, hitting home runs. He's generating a lot of contact that is leading to hits. And that is what is making his offense so productive for this Red Sox team right now, is because he is able to put together competitive and impactful at-bats. And that is exactly what we need from him. And that is something that you don't get with every Red Sox hitter in this lineup. Some lack discipline, some lack the ability to hit the ball super hard, and some just can't really hit at all because they just have bad pitch recognition, or they just are ahead of everything or behind every pitch and they just swing and miss very often. But Alex Bregman is a good overall hitter, and those numbers are very good for Fenway because Fenway's outfield is highly set up for a guy who has a really strong exit velocity. So overall, continue to expect very competitive at-bats from Bregman that result in hard contact. That is the type of hitter that he is and that he has been in 2025. And coming up, I'm going to be looking at Garrett Crochet. What impact has he made on this Boston Red Sox team since coming here? That's next. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days that helps keep me feeling fuller. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. These things are a little dangerous because they are super addicting, but I promise you, you will absolutely love them. And once you buy them at the store for the first time, you will not go back. So don't say I didn't warn you, because I did, but it's worth it because they're healthy and they're delicious. In talking about the biggest offseason additions that the Boston Red Sox made, you can't talk about impactful moves without talking about Garrett Crochet, a guy who the Red Sox really valued as a highly regarded player heading into this season. And Craig Breslow enforced it several times after they traded for him. They said, we see ace caliber stuff in Garrett Crochet. We see him as a guy who's going to be a big piece of our future moving forward. And rightfully so, people should be excited about him because it has been a while since the Red Sox have had a true number one starter. Now, they've had guys come and go who they thought maybe were going to be good for them in the longer term. They've had pitchers who they have tried to make into a number one, like Tanner Houck and Brian Bayo, and those two guys are just not quite there. But it's really been a long time since the Red Sox have been able to confidently look at their roster and say, yep, that guy is our number one. Now they bring in Garrett Crochet, who certainly has been giving us number one starter caliber stuff. For example, pitching into the 8th inning against the White Sox and having a no-hitter going into the 8th, filthy, filthy stuff. I mean, he brings an arsenal to the table that makes it nearly impossible to hit him. And he's been super fun to watch for this Boston Red Sox team. Now, he did struggle in his last outing. He pitched 5 innings and gave up 4 earned runs. His command was not there. He did record 9 strikeouts, but he had 5 walks in the contest. So that'll do it. If your command is not there and you're walking guys and giving away all these free passes, then it's going to be very difficult for you to have a solid outing. So rough start in his last one against the Mariners, bumped his ERA from a 1.13 to a 1.95, which is obviously still nothing at all to be ashamed of. So he currently sits at that 1.95 ERA over 6 games started. He's thrown 37 innings and recorded 44 strikeouts over those 37 innings. He has a record right now of 2-2 for the Red Sox. Now, over the last couple seasons, in 2023, he pitched to a 3.55 ERA, and in 2024, a 3.58 ERA. He was experiencing some pain last year, so that could be a factor in that and definitely needs to be considered here. But he's healthy now. He feels great, and he is pitching at a very high level for this Boston Red Sox team. And this is something we have been waiting for as Red Sox fans, is to have that ace caliber starter. So now in terms of his arsenal, he has a few different pitches that he has been relying on. So he has his 4-seamer that he uses 25.4% of the time, his cutter 21.8% of the time, his sinker 15.5% of the time for his usage, a sweeper that he uses 13.1% of the time, a knuckle curve that he uses 12.7% of the time, a changeup 10.8% of the time, and a slider just 0.8% of the time. So very rarely does he use the slider. But this is exactly why Garrett Crochet is an ace, because he has legitimately 7 pitches that he can go to. It's a stacked arsenal, and it really makes it difficult for opposing hitters to know what he's going to throw when, because of the fact that he has all of these pitches nailed down to a T. And that is a recipe for long-term success, because the more pitches you have up your sleeve, the more successful you can be longer. Because if one of those pitches starts to become a weaker aspect of your game, that's okay. Don't throw it as much, because you have 6 other pitches that you can use. And that's why he has been able to be such a successful starting pitcher in Major League Baseball up to this point. Now, in terms of his percentages, hard hit percentage, he's in the 89th percentile, which is huge. That means that not a lot of guys are making hard contact on him, and he really doesn't give up lots of loud outs. And you do see some pitchers who can go out there and get the job done, but they're giving out loud outs. So Liam Hendriks is an example of this. Went out there in a game recently, and he gave up 2 deep flyouts that ended up going for an out, which is great, but they were loud. And that's not always a promising sign. So the fact that he is not generating a lot of hard contact is fantastic. Also with Crochet, he's in the 84th percentile for strikeout percentage, which is high. That is considered very good. So he is generating strikeouts at around a 30.3% rate. And that's very solid. So he's getting lots of swings and misses in that regard. And also his whiff percentage, 81%. So players are whiffing a lot against him. And I explained a little bit earlier what whiff actually means. And it's a good sign for Garrett Crochet that he is getting guys to swing and miss at a lot of different pitches. And he is also getting guys to chase, but not at as high of a rate. So he's in the 67th percentile for chase percentage right now. So that means that pitches outside of the zone, he's not really fooling hitters as well as he would like to and getting them to bite at those pitches out of the zone. So that's something that I definitely want to see increase, especially if he does have the command problems sometimes, like he did in his last outing, to where he's walking people. Having that chase percentage be higher is going to be incredibly beneficial for him moving forward, because then even if the command isn't there as much, it might not result in a walk as much, because guys are reaching outside of the zone to try and hit something that they can't. So I definitely think that's a key aspect of his game that could do better in terms of his arsenal and the way that he is pitching. So when he throws his four-seam fastball, that primarily moves toward first base and essentially rises up. So his fastball is really going knee deep into the center of the strike zone with a little bit more lean to the first base side, whereas his cutter and his sweeper lean more towards the third base side. So essentially his cutter is traveling down and cutting over to the third base side, making it very difficult for a hitter to keep their eye on that pitch the entirety of the time it's traveling. And it leads to them swinging at a pitch that isn't always right in the middle of the strike zone. So it makes that pitch a very competitive pitch for him. His changeup and his sinker both tend to lean more towards the right side also. And why is that important? That's important because if you're facing a right-handed hitter, then you want to be able to throw those pitches that are leaning towards the right side, because then that means it'll be outside of the strike zone for them. So if they are trying to swing at it, it won't be successful for them because they're reaching outside of the zone. So it's definitely good that everything isn't just down the middle, and his pitches and what makes them as hard to hit as they are is because they have that movement where they're going to the sides a little bit. So it's really hard for a hitter to say, okay, when is this ball going to break? Because if he is hitting his spots, it doesn't break till the ball's pretty close to the hitter. So that makes it very difficult to hit it. If you can picture yourself at the plate and there's a ball coming towards you and you see it in the strike zone and you see it kind of going down the middle, and then it takes a slight break towards the end, closer to the first base side or closer to the third base side. And if you're a righty, if it's close to the third base side, that would make it inside and very close to you. Think about how hard that would be to hit when you're planning for it to be down the middle and your stance is preparing to hit that, and then it breaks. Very difficult to hit. So that makes Garrett Crochet so successful because he's able to place his pitches in the right spots in order to make these hitters be completely fooled by them. His fastball velocity is in the 77th percentile at 95.7. That's the average rate at which his fastball travels. Definitely would like to see that go up a little bit because I'd love to see him hitting 97, 98 on a little bit more of a consistent basis. But obviously it's well above average and it's considered good. So he definitely is not in the conversation of where we should be concerned about his fastball velocity. I just would love to see him get that up a little bit more, but he's still pitching at a very high level for this Boston Red Sox team right now. And essentially he has very good stuff. That 7-pitch arsenal is the biggest thing that stands out about him. And he's going to continue to utilize all of those pitches because he has found a lot of success with those over the course of his career so far. So for him, being able to continue to incorporate all of them into his arsenal is just going to be better in the long run for him. So I'm a huge fan of Garrett Crochet. Hopefully he continues to generate lots of light and weak contact because it's going to be very hard for opposing hitters to touch him at that point. And speaking of pitchers, I'm going to be talking about another pitcher that the Red Sox brought in this offseason in Walker Buehler. So you definitely will not want to miss that. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. FanDuel is a great way to bet on a ton of different sports. And the best part, not only are you betting on games that you'll probably be watching anyway, but you can make a lot of money in the process too. So it'll make you feel really good about yourself if you're sitting and watching games and then you profit off of that. What better combination than that? So definitely check out FanDuel today. The Boston Red Sox definitely made impactful moves this offseason to put themselves in a better place to contend in 2025. And it's been great to see the way that certain players have been stepping up and giving the Red Sox what they were hoping to get from them, including Alex Bregman and Garrett Crochet. Now, another player that the Red Sox brought in this offseason was Walker Buehler, a guy who does have an injury history, having 2 Tommy John surgeries and not necessarily always being able to stay on the field, but he has a huge history of success over the course of his career, and he's a World Series champion, so he knows what it's like to be in the big show, and he knows how to perform in those pressure situations. And that's a big thing about having a veteran like Walker Buehler in the Red Sox rotation, because you look at a young player like Garrett Crochet who doesn't have that postseason experience. He can learn from a guy like Buehler on how to pitch well in those big games. So it's great having Walker Buehler around. We were skeptical early on in the season, by we, I mean Red Sox fans, about what kind of pitcher Walker Buehler was going to be for this team. His first couple starts were rough. He really did not look very good in those. And I said, wow, this is going to be a long season with Walker Buehler if he can't figure things out. But I said, we just need him to be a lower end starter, a guy who can pitch towards the back end of the rotation and eat innings. But sure enough, he has done a lot more than that. And after he got his first couple starts of the season out of the way, ever since then, he has been full speed ahead. And I really like what I'm seeing from Buehler. He currently sits at a 4.28 ERA with a 4-1 record over 6 games started. He's thrown 33 2/3 innings, recording 29 strikeouts. Now, the 4.28 ERA is a little bit deceiving because a lot of that is based on the fact that he did have a rough first 2 starts. So that kind of skewed his ERA a little bit, but it has since gone down because of his efforts in his other starts since then. He did have a 4.02 ERA in 2022, and then he was injured and missed the 2023 season. And then in 2024, he pitched to a 5.38 ERA. So obviously the time when he wasn't healthy was a bit of a struggle for him, and when he was coming back from being hurt and going through surgery. Now he's back for a redemption season, and he wants to have a good year, and he has performed in his last few starts. And in terms of his arsenal, he also relies on 7 pitches, a 4-seamer 25.4% of the time, cutter 21.8%, sinker 15.5%, sweeper 13.1%, knuckle curve 12.7%, changeup 10.8%, and slider 0.8%. So he has a wide arsenal of pitches that he uses as well, similar to Crochet. At this point in his career, he doesn't execute them as well, especially because his velocity is low relative to Garrett Crochet, who throws about 95 on his fastball. Walker Buehler's fastball velocity is not great. 33.4 miles an hour is about what it averages. He's actually poor percentile-wise in fastball velo. He's in just the 34th percentile in that category. So that's something that could be a problem for him moving forward, and something that he could run into as trouble down the road, is that his fastball velo is not exactly where it should be. So players could rake on that pitch. Average exit velocity, though, he's in the 86th percentile. So he's not really getting guys to hit the ball super hard in general. And his off-speed stuff is doing a lot of work to help with that. Hard hit percentage is great, 86th percentile. So it shows that guys aren't able to make contact with the ball and have it travel very fast or have it be hit super hard. And his off-speed pitches have been very good and very solid, and he's been able to fool hitters with those, and it has allowed him to limit the amount of hard contact that he is giving up. He is very low, though, in terms of whiff percentage, just 12%. So he's not generating a ton of swings and misses in each at bat. And his K percentage is just in the 43 percentile. So average, a little bit below average. So he's not a big swing and miss hitter right now, which is something that I have picked up on with him over the course of this season so far. So don't expect him to be a guy who's going to rack up 10 strikeouts a game. That's just not going to happen. In walk percentage, though, he's in the 73rd percentile, which is pretty good. So he's not walking a lot relative to other pitchers, because his command has not necessarily been the issue with him this year. It's been more that in his first couple starts, he was just getting hit hard on a lot of different pitches. Since then, he's made adjustments. He's utilizing the pitches that are best for him. And he still has the command because his walk percentage is not bad. He's walking guys at around a 6.4% rate. So that's really not bad. And also, now he's been able to induce less hard contact with the arsenal of pitches that he is using. So overall, he's been good because of the fact that he limits the hard contact, but definitely needs to get his fastball velo up and definitely needs to start striking out some more guys if he wants to be seen as more of an elite starter for this Red Sox team. But again, he doesn't need to be an elite starter. We just need him to be a reliable starter who can throw and hopefully continue to eat innings and go deeper into games. And especially with the fact that Tanner Houck has been struggling a little bit more this year than the Red Sox were hoping he would, having Buehler be stepping up. So hopefully he can continue to do that. But overall, Bregman, Crochet, and Buehler doing really good things for the Red Sox so far, and I'm excited to see what they continue to do as the season progresses. Thank you for tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. For your second listen, be sure to check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. The Game Night show is great because it talks about every game that has gone on that day and everything you need to know. So if you want to stay caught up in what's going on around the league and all of the games, be sure to check that show out next after you finish listening to this on any podcast platform. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.